Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We have just concluded with Canto 3 and we are reciting some of the verses, a revision of the shlokas. Okay. So 3.25.33. It's a one-line verse, very amazing verse this is, but very powerful verse actually this is. We'll recite this. Jarayatyashu ya kosham
जरयत्याशु याकोशम्
Vigiranam analo yatha.
निगीर्णानलो यथा
Translation.
Bhakti, devotional service, dissolves the subtle body of the living entity without separate effort. Just as fire in the stomach digests all that we eat. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is the power of bhakti. Bhakti dissolves the subtle body of the living entity without separate efforts. Right. The subtle body is the cause of continuous transmigration. Gross body is buried or is, dahan or dafan of the gross body happens. But the subtle body continues. And it is the subtle body, kshotram chakshusparshanam cha, so, and the subtle body gives the next gross body. But bhakti, what does bhakti does? Bhakti dissolves the subtle body by engaging the subtle body in the service of the Supreme Lord. So this is the potency of bhakti. Next verse, very famous one, 3.25.34. नैकात्मता मे स्पृहयन्ति केचिन्
ऐकात्मता मे
स्पृहयन्ति
स्पृहयन्ति
केचिन्
केचिन्
मत्पादसेवाभिरता मदीहा
मत्पादसेवाभिरता मदीहा
अन्योन्यतो भागवता प्रसज्य
यो
ये
अन्यो
अन्योन्यतो भागवता प्रसज्य
सभाजयन्ते मम पौरुषाणि
सभाजयते
मम
मम
पौरुषाणि.
पौरुषाणि.
Translation.
A pure devotee who is attached to the activities of devotional service and who always engages in the service of my lotus feet never desires to become one with me. Such a devotee who is unflinchingly engaged always glorifies my pastimes and activities. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is Naikatmata me spurhayanti kechin. The pure devotees, they never aspire to merge with the Supreme. Why? Matpada seva bhirata madiha. Right. They are attached to the activities of devotional service and thus they are always engaged in devotional service. Unflinchingly engaged and always glorify. Sabhajayante mama paurushani. These are the activities of pure devotee. Bhagavad Gita says this: Mat chitta, mad gata prana, bodhayanta parasparam, kathayantascha mam nityam, tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Very, very rasik verse from Bhagavad Gita. This is, these are the activities of devotees. They never aspire to become one with the Supreme. So this is the direct verse which, very, very clearly, one of the direct verses which very clearly talks against the merging. The next one, 35, very celebrated, very famous verse. Personally, very favorite of mine also. पश्यन्ति ते मे रुचिराणि अम्बसन्तः
पश्यन्ति
पश्यन्ति
मे
ते मे
रुचिराणि
रुचिराणि अम्बसन्तः
प्रसन्नवक्त्रारुणलोचनानि
प्रसन्नवक्त्रारुणलोचनानि
रूपाणि दिव्यानि वरप्रदानि
रूपाणि दिव्यानि वरप्रदानि
साकं वाचं स्पृहणीयां वदन्ति
साकं वाचं स्पृहणीयां वदन्ति.
Translation.
Translation: O my mother, my devotees always see the smiling face of my form with eyes like the rising morning sun. They like to see my various transcendental forms, which are all benevolent, and they also talk favorably with me. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is Pashyanti te me. They take my darshan, Ruchirani, with great satisfaction. Amba Santa, Amba is mother. Oh my mother, my devotees always see my smiling face. Prasanna Vaktra Aruna Lochanani. And such forms of the Lord, Rupani, Divyani, Varapradani. They are the transcendental forms, always giving benedictions. Later, Kapila Muni says that when we go to temple and take darshan, the spiritual desires arouse in the heart of a devotee. The spiritual desires are nourished by the glance of the Supreme Lord on the devotee. So they are Varapradani, Sakam Vacham Spruhaniyam Vadanti. And my devotees, they talk favorably with me. Right? So there are many wonderful pastimes we discussed when we are discussing this shloka. Very amazing verse. Next one, 36. Taddarshanairavayavairudara
तैर्दर्शनीया वयवैरुदार
विलासहाते क्षितवामसुक्तैः
विलासहासे क्षितवामसुक्तैः
वृतात्मनोरुतप्राणांश्च भक्तिर्
तात्मनोरुत प्राणांश भक्तिर्
अनिच्छतो मे गतमन्विं प्रयुङ्क्ते
अनिच्छतो मे गतिमन्विं प्रयुङ्क्ते.
Translation.
Upon seeing the charming forms of the Lord, smiling and attractive, and hearing his very pleasing word, the pure devotee almost lost all other consciousness. His senses are freed from all other engagements, and he becomes absorbed in devotional service. Thus, in spite of his unwillingness, he attained liberation without separate endeavors. Very good.
Yeah. Seeing the charming forms of the Lord, how this vilasa hasa hasekshita vamasuktai. Hearing his very pleasing words, the pure devotees almost loses his consciousness. So one of the important aspect here is there is a difference between dharana and dhyana, right? So dharana is taking the overall darshan of the Lord, and dhyana is the avayavairudarir, taking the darshan of the Lord avayav by avayav, limb by limb, right? This is how we take darshan of the Supreme Lord. So this is, there is a, generally we take this dhyana and dharana to be same, but this is the difference. 42 text, very famous verse. Madbhayad vati vato yam yastapati madbhayat
सूर्यस्तपति मद्भयात्
dahati agnir
वर्षति
वर्षतीन्द्रो दहति अग्निर्
मृत्युश्चरति मद्भयात्.
मृत्युश्चरति मद्भयात्.
Madhvayat.
It is because of my supremacy that the Mata Chautara. Mataji, you can read.
That the
It is
wind
because
blows
of my
out of fear of
supremacy
me,
that the. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
the sun shines out of fear of me, and the Lord of the clouds, Indra, sends forth showers out of fear of me. Fire burns out of fear of me, and death goes about taking its toll out of fear of me.
Yeah, so it is because of my supremacy. The Lord is, here. Such a sweet Lord, but He's the greatest of the great, right? Wind blows, sun shines, clouds, they shower rains, fire burns, and death is chasing everyone. Madbhayat. So this is a very famous word. Next one, immediate. 43. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena
Vairagyayuktena
Yoginaha
Bhakti
Bhakti
yoge
Yogena Yoginaha
Maya Padamulam Me
kshemaya
Maya
padamulam me
Padam
Ganchanti Akuto Bhayam.
Ganchanti Akuto Bhayam.
Translation.
The
The
yogis,
yogis
the people
equipped
with the
with
transcendental knowledge,
transcendental knowledge and renunciation and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit. Benefit take shelter of my lotus feet, and since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear.
Yeah. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti Yuktena Yoginaha. So it's very similar verse was there. And this is how they enter the kingdom of God without any fear. Next one, the last one of this chapter, text 44. एतावानेव लोकेऽस्मिन्
Etavanev
esmin
lokesmin
पुंसां निःश्रेयसोदयः
Pumsam Nishreyasodayah
तीव्रेण भक्तियोगेन
Tivrena
Tivrena
Bhakti Yogena,
Bhakti
मय्यार्पितस्थिरम्.
Maya.
Mayarpitam Stiram.
Translation.
Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of devotional service. That is the only means for attainment of the final perfection of life. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. एतावानेव. And therefore, huge things have happened before this, therefore. Right? Kapila Muni has explained the potency of devotional service, how Gyan and Vairagya on themselves, they cannot really take one further. And therefore, one should be engaged in Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. So Tivrena means intensity, but Tivrena also means consistency. Right? Apratihata. Ahaituki apratihata. So incessant, relentless devotional service. Tivrena may not be always possible that one is chanting loudly or chanting more may not be possible. But chanting consistently is possible. Reading consistently is possible. So Tivrena, for all practical purposes, literally means consistently, right? So this we have to. So even morning reading at times it is very difficult. It is not easy. But somehow Tivrena, we try to do it consistently. We try to do it. So this is Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. Next, 3.26.8. Okay. कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे
Karyakarana Kartutve
कारणं प्रकृतिं विदुः
Karanam Prakritim Viduhu
भोक्तृत्वे सुखदुःखानां
bhaktrutve
Bhaktrutve
sukhadukkhanam
Dukhanam
प्रकृते परम्.
pusham
Purusham
prakrite
Prakrute
param.
Param.
Translation.
The cause of the conditioned soul's material body and senses, and the senses presiding deities, the demigods, is the material nature. This is understood by learned men. The feelings of happiness and distress of the soul, who is transcendental by nature, are caused by the spirit soul himself. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Karya Karana Kartutve, because of the cause of the conditioned soul's material body and senses, and the presiding deities, the feelings of happiness and distress. Bhoktrutve, Sukha Dukkhana. And that's why Lord Krishna says, therefore, the soul itself is not actually, directly into Sukha Dukkha, and therefore the soul should not be overwhelmed by Sukha Dukkha. And that's why we need to tolerate the Sukha and Dukkha. Matra sparashastu kaunteya, shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada. This is how the Lord says. Next, 3.27.5. अत एव शनैश्चित्तम्
अत एव शनैश्चित्तम्
प्रसक्तम् असतां पथि
Prasaktam
Asakam
pati
pati
भक्तियोगेन तीव्रेण
bhakti
Bhakti
yogena
योगेन
Yogena
तीव्रेण
प्रत्याचनयेद्वशम्.
Viratyajanayedvasham.
तन्मयद्वशम्.
Translation?
Translation. It is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to material enjoyment, in very serious devotional service with detachment. Thus, his mind and consciousness will be under full control. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So again here there is intensity of tivrena bhakti yogena. Same things they are coming here. Correct. One second. 3.27.22. ज्ञानेन दृष्टतत्त्वेन
Jnanena drishtatattvena
वैराग्येन बलीयसा
vairagyena baliyasa
बलीयसा
युक्तेन योगेन
तपो
तपो
युक्तेन
yuktena
योगेन
yogena
तीव्रेणात्मसमाधिना.
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 Translation?
This devotional service has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge and with transcendental vision. One must be strongly renounced and must engage in austerity and perform mystic yoga in order to be firmly fixed in self-absorption.
So this is how to perform pure devotional service. Has to be performed strongly in perfect knowledge. Baliyasa. Strong devotional service, perfect knowledge with transcendental vision. Drishtatatvena. One must be strongly renounced. Strongly renounced means following four regulative principles, right? And engage in austerity, tapo yuktena. Perform mystic yoga process, yogena tivrena. Look at the word tivra, so many times this tivra word comes here. Next verse, 24, 3.27.24. So here, very amazing verse this is, Prakriti cannot harm the enlightened soul. So one very important point to remember here is, although the three modes of nature are extremely powerful, but they can only distract a living entity, but they cannot act on the living entity. They cannot force a living entity to act. Of course, Bhagavad Gita says that uh, that they are forcibly, Rajoguna is acting. But what that means is, if one is little conscious, the choice to act or not depends on the living entity itself, right? So they can present some situations, but the action will not be, dictated on them. They have a free choice. So nice verse. Bhukta bhoga parityaktva
Bhakta
भुक्त
bhoga
भोगा
parityakta
परित्यक्त्वा
दुष्टदोषाश्च नित्यशः
दुष्टदोषाश्च नित्यशः
शुभं दत्ते
ईश्वरस्य शुभं दत्ते
ते महिम्नि स्थितस्य च.
स्वे
स्वे
महिम्नि
महिम्नि स्थितस्य च.
स्थितस्य.
By
By discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord it over material nature, and by therefore giving it up, the living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory.
Yeah. So the living entity becomes independent by discovering the faultiness of his desiring to lord over material nature. What amazing, Prabhupada also so beautifully puts this here. The faultiness of lording it material nature. Recently, there was a discussion which was caught on the camera, discussion between Xi Jinping, who is the president of China, and Putin, Vladimir Putin, president of, of USSR. And they both were discussing how sad it is that life only continues till 70, 80, and they were hoping that modern science will soon come, they will stop death, because they are both enjoying their life. One is a dictator of America, China, another is a dictator of Russia. But how long you can lord it over material nature? You will be kicked out at one particular time. Everybody will be kicked out. And thus a devotee discovers the faultiness of desiring to lord it over material nature, and therefore he gives it up. The living entity becomes independent and stands in his own glory. Sve mahimni sthitasya cha. Right. So this is the potency of devotional service. Next, 3.28.15. So again, the series is very beautiful. It will not go through all the shloka. We'll just see sample one here. Mattadve fire kalaya
मत्तद्विरेफकलया
paritam vanamalaya
Paritam
मालया
haravalaya
Adhyaharavya
आद्याहारवलया
gadanupuram.
ईटां गदानुपुरम्.
Translation.
He also wears around his neck a garland of attractive sylvan flowers and a swaram of beads, intoxicated by its delicious fragrance, hums above the garland. He is further superbly adorned with a pearl necklace and a crown and a pair of armlets, bracelets, and anklets.
This is the beautiful ornaments of the Supreme Lord. Right. So this chapter is all about Kapila's instructions on devotional service, how specifically one should take darshan of the Supreme Lord. And if you come to ISKCON NVCC temple in Pune, you will find all these shlokas put up on the, near Jagannath Baldev Subhadra altar on that wall. All the shlokas are there from this canto, this chapter. How to take darshan. So this is the sequence, and those shlokas are coming from this particular, the series of the shlokas. How to take darshan of the Dhyana of the Lord's limbs, right? That is a section in this chapter, text 19 to 33 of chapter 28. How to take darshan of the Supreme Lord. So, again, all very beautiful verses here. So, we'll come to text 29. Very beautiful verse. भृत्यानुकम्पिदिदेह गृहीतमूर्तेः
Bhutyanukampi
अनुकम्पिता धिये गृहीतमूर्तेः
कञ्चिन्त्ययेद्भगवतो वदनारविन्दम्
सञ्चिन्तयेद भगवतो
Sanchintayedvagavato
वदनारविन्दम्
यद्विस्फुरन्मकरकुण्डलवल्गितेन
Yadvisfuramakarakundalavalgitena
यद्विस्फुरणमकरकुण्डलवल्गितेन
विद्योतितमलकपोलम् उदारनासम्
विद्योतितं
Vidyotitamalakapolam
कमलम्
udaranam.
उदारनासम्.
Translation.
The yogi should then meditate on the lotus like countenance of the Lord, who presents his different forms in this world out of compassion for the anxious devotees. His nose is prominent and his crystal clear cheeks are illuminated by the oscillations of his glittering alligator shaped earrings.
Yeah. So this is meditating on the beautiful lotus face of the Supreme Lord. Right. different forms of the world out of compassion for the anxious devotees. His nose is prominent, raised nose, that is the Supreme Lord. His crystal clear cheeks are illuminated by the Makara Kundala, Talapati Shravani. So this is a beautiful explanation of Lord's lotus face. Lord's lotus face, this is the dharana. This is the bird's eye of Lord's lotus face. Now the next verse even goes much deeper in that Lord's lotus face. Next 32. यच्छ्रीनिकेतममलभि परिसेव्यमानम्
यच्छ्रीनिकेतम् अलिभिः परिसेव्यमानम्
नित्याश्रया कुटिलकुन्तलवृन्दजुष्टम्
ऊर्ध्वाश्वया कुटिलकुन्तल वृन्दशिष्टम्
आश्रय अधीक्षिपदब्जनेत्रम्
त्वयाश्रयम् अधीक्ष पदब्जनेत्रम्
ध्यायेन मनोमयम् अतीन्द्रित उल्लसद्भ्रुः
ध्यायेन मनोमयम् अतीन्द्र उल्लसद्भ्रुः.
Translation.
The yogi then meditates upon the beautiful face of the Lord, which is adorned with curly hair and decorated by lotus-like eyes and dancing eyebrows. A lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish would be put to shame by its elegance.
Yeah. So then now the lotus face of the Supreme Lord. Beautiful face, which is curly hair, lotus-like eyes, dancing eyebrows, lotus surrounded by the swarming bees, and the pair of the swimming fish will put to the shame by this the elegance. Right? Very beautiful description. Srila Prabhupada writes, yogis must meditate on the form of the Lord which is experienced by devotees, not some artificial form or not some void or something like that. The form should be experienced by the devotees and confirmed by the devotees. Only the devotees have, the entry into the Lord's abode. Text 31. तस्यावलोकमधिकं कृपयाति घोर
तस्यावलोकम् अधिकम् कृपयाति घोर
तापत्रयो उपशमनाय निसृष्ट्वमक्षुः
तापत्रयोपमशनाय निःसृष्टुमक्ष्णो
स्निग्धस्मितानुगुणितं विपुलप्रसादम्
स्निग्धस्मितानुगुणितं विपुलप्रसादम्
चिरं विपुलभावनया गुहायाम्
ध्यायेत् चिरं विपुलभावनया गुहायम्.
The yogi should contemplate with full devotion the compassionate glance frequently cast by the Lord's eyes, for they soothe the most fearful, therefore agonies of his devotees. His glance accompanied by loving smile and full of abundant grace.
Yeah, so then next is we should take darshan of the Lord's eyes. For these smooth the most fearful threefold agonies of his devotees. Tapatraya upashamanaya. Right? So taking, we should have eye to eye contact with the Supreme Lord. And then that is how the tapatraya within the body will be completely destroyed. His glances, accompanied by his loving smiles, are full of abundant grace. Okay, the next one, very famous verse of Bhagavatam, text 32. हासं हरेरवनित किल लोकतीव्र
संहरेरवनत्या अखिलोकवीरम्
शोकाश्रुसागरविशोषणमत्युदारम्
शोकाश्रुसागरविशोषणम् अत्युदारम्
हराय रचितं निजमाययास्य
मोहनाय
मोहनाय
रचितं
रचितं
निजमाययास्य
निजमाययास्य
भूमण्डलं मुनिकृते मकरध्वजस्य
भ्रूमण्डलं
भूमण्डलं
मुनिकृते
मुनिकृते
मकरध्वजस्य.
मकरद्विजस्य.
Translation.
A yogi should similarly meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Hari, Sri Hari, a smile which, for all those who bow to him, dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. The yogi should also meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows, which are manifested by his internal potency in order to charm the sex god for the good of the sages.
Reborn, my favorite shloka.
So this is how yogi should meditate on the benevolent smile of Lord Hari. And what happens because of this? Dries away the ocean of the tears caused by intense grief. Right? Shoka Ashru Sagara. People are constantly in shoka. You know that. Why did I do this? I'm just coming from, we have this engineering admission round going on, and people are in such duality whether I should take this branch or this branch or this branch. More the duality, more one will have enough reasons to lament at the end. And this living entity is always lamenting. Shoka Ashru Sagara. Right? But this Shoka Ashru Sagara can be completely wiped away when we meditate on the smile of the Supreme Lord. Meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows. And previously, it is being described that these are like dancing eyebrows of the Supreme Lord. Now, as more and more AI will advance, we will have, the Lord also, having the dancing eyebrows of the Supreme Lord, right? And this is how which can captivate the god of, the Makaradhvajasya. Makaradhvaja can be captivated by these beautiful eyebrows of the Supreme Lord. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, the last day of our recitations, or maybe one more day, and then we'll begin with fourth canto, or little more revision.
Hare
We'll
Krishna.
conclude here and continue tomorrow. Yes.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Sukha Dukha comes of bodily features or Atma se Atma when we appear our own regular life.
Nee, Mataji. I mean, my connectivity is very low today, maybe. Not able to.
Okay. No problem, Prabhuji.
So we'll conclude here and continue tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll take up this question. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Prabhupada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.